ministers in September. This will also be an item for the foreign ministers meeting of the Commonwealth as a whole. So certainly we have taken a due note of developments, and this has been recognized and appreciated by Guyana.
Well, we also heard today that the region could be in line for a boost in its moves towards using more renewable energy. The assurance came from Trinidad's Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar. She had planned to discuss the Regional Energy Fund with her fellow leaders, and she was speaking to the media this morning just ahead of the first plenary session.
We intend to share with the heads our initiatives. Dr. Tiwari is there, please?
Yes.
Our initiatives for a Caribbean energy fund. In the region, we know that there are difficulties for all of us with the energy. For us, it's a downturn in the price of oil and gas. But we have committed to the establishment of an energy fund for sustainable development, for raising about $100 million, which will allow us to go into alternative energy sources and supplies within the entire region.
Well, much of the Caribbean's financial issues are the results of baggage left by Europe on the region during the period of colonization. This view from Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Sir Hilary Beckles. Speaking at a CARICOM high-level strategic dialogue as part of the ongoing summit, Sir Hilary highlighted the need for reparations to keep the Caribbean afloat. He believes money spent since independence on social issues such as education and health care allowed the islands to at least remain inhabitable. In addition, he wants modern methods of globalization revisited to better assist developing countries.
On the one hand, it speaks to openness, to level playing fields. But the fact is that when you look at the politics of globalization and the economics of globalization, they are going in different directions. It is about rich nations versus weak nations. It's a conflict between powerful nations and weak nations. And there is a transfer of resources out of the smaller, weaker nations into the rich and powerful nations.
The pervasive sargassum seaweed that has been plaguing Barbados and other Caribbean countries has engaged the attention of at least two major organizations.
There's a commitment on the part of the international community to help the region with the problem of the sargassum seaweed. Barbados' ambassador to the United Nations, Tony Marshall, says the issue of the seaweed falls into the larger category of the impact of climate change.
It might not hit them in the face, as it were, because they themselves are not suffering it, but the Caribbean territories are quite aware of it. But in general terms, more so in terms of erosion of the beaches and so on, they're conscious of it, and it is being pressed very hard at the UN by SITS.
Even on the beach here at the Barbados Hilton, where the conference is being held, the impact of the sargassum seaweed is evident. And the Caribbean Development Bank says even though it is not a top priority for them at the moment, they're willing to help.
It is clear that it represents a threat, but I would say that the principle would be that we're not averse to assisting, but we're a small institution, and we can't do everything. For us to be effective, we need to focus. And if there are others who can assist with that, you know, we'd be happy to work with them.
And two visitors to the island believe the international community should provide financial and educational help.
It'll help not only Barbados, but it'll help us as far as safety concerns and awareness of the environment in itself. So I definitely think it would help.
Well, I know it as a tourist, it doesn't seem great, but it's great for the environment and it doesn't bother me. I surf out there, so I think it's just a matter of education to say that it's important for the sand and the beach to build out, and it's natural, and it may not look as pretty, but it's harmless.
The issue is also supposed to engage the attention of the heads.
Well, President of Panama, Juan Carlos Varela Rodriguez, has arrived in Barbados. He touched down today, ready to participate in the intense discussions at the summit. Mr. Varela was met on the tarmac of the Grantley Adams International Airport by Tourism Minister Richard Seeley, Head of Protocol Philip St. Hill, as well as Chief of Presidential Protocol of Panama Alex Perez and other Panamanian officials. We also hear that Panama is seeking to establish a direct flight to Barbados. President Varela revealed that his country is working with local tourism officials to establish the direct airlink along a flight to London through Barbados from Panama. Well, as you said earlier, Lisa, the issue of the discussion between Venezuela and Guyana has been a major issue here, and the heads have been meeting in caucus for the past several hours, and that border dispute has been top agenda. Joining me now is our senior journalist, Peter Thorne, who is going to tell us some more about what discussions were expected to be happening at that caucus and other matters today. Peter?
Well, I understand that. Thank you for having me, Lisa. That the issue of Venezuela and Guyana was center stage at the caucus. A delegation actually from Venezuela was supposed, a delegation from CARICOM was supposed to meet with the Venezuelan vice president, or the executive vice president, Mr. Jorge Ariasa, who flew into Bridgetown for these talks. Remember that Mr. Nicolas Maduro, the president, he was due here for the talks, but he didn't make the trip to Bridgetown. So he was met by the Dominican Prime Minister, Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt, along with Dr. Ralph Gonzalez. But I believe CARICOM took the view that because this is such an important matter that's been decades old, back from 1810, and then the arbitral award of 1899, that they wanted to hear directly from the president of Venezuela, who issued the decree recently, which has Guyana in such a spin, and certainly CARICOM in terms of the delimitation of boundaries, which could even affect Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago. So they wanted to hear, and even though the talks were scheduled, a delegation from CARICOM, I understand that it might have been put in abeyance. We will know when the leaders return from caucus at the Crane Hotel, but basically Mr. Maduro, I'm sure if he had come, that CARICOM would have entertained him. The issue also that took center stage at the caucus would have been the Dominican Republic. There's really a crisis looming in terms of humanitarian proportions, and from all indications, CARICOM has placed it in terms of an ethnic position that you should not be expelling certain ethnic groups. We've seen this happening around the world in terms of the Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda, and you also saw that in Bosnia-Herzegovina in 1994.
Well, thank you very much, Peter, putting the main issues at the 36 heads meeting into perspective for us. Now, as you said, Lisa, earlier, today is the second day. Tomorrow is the last day. Usually there is a closing ceremony and very often a wrap-up press conference. So we'll stand by to wait on those, and of course we'll keep you abreast of the latest here from the Barbados Hilton. Back to you, Lisa.
And thank you so much, Lisa, and Peter, of course. And we'll have more news in just a moment.
Offer available island-wide at participating outlets, Byco Mobilers and the Byco Direct Outlet, Harbor Road.
The time is near for the world's greatest soca event, the Flow Soca on the Hill at the Folly Hill National Park, Barbados. Come see the Queen of Bacchanal, Destra, Low Rick, Ricardo Drew, RBB, Biggie Irie, Skinny Fabulous, Soca Sensations, Lead Pipe and Satis, Benjai, King Bubba FM, and still the best of Crop Over 2015 still to come. Get your early bird tickets now from official box offices before the price goes up. Sunday, July 19th, the Flow Soca on the Hill.
Fun never done. Ping pong, share smile with everyone. Share that taste, not a cheers, must waste. Chuckles make you smile up. Start smiling, you got the fun. Charles Chocolates, for real chocolate lovers. Start smiling.
Coming up on Monday's presentation of Festival Stage, more mass, the costumes of the Smash 4-Day Morning Band. We'll discuss the cultural industries bill. We'll have the crew from the All-Stars, Calypso Tent, and I, Shaka McNeil. Monday morning here on Festival Stage on CBC TV 8 and the Caribbean. We've got a date.
The National Union of Public Workers is sounding a warning to employers. It's telling them not to prevent workers from joining its national protest slated for Monday. Acting Assistant General Secretary Wayne Waldron is reminding business owners and department heads that such action is against the law.
Was stop workers from exercising their civil right to lobby for justice in this country and for betterment. So we are cautioning, sending caution all his departments and persons in charge, do not intimidate workers.
Mr. Waldron describes the saga surrounding the Barbados Investment and Development Corporation as the straw which broke the camel's back, but he says it's not the only issue which the NUPW and workers will be protesting. The union is yet to resolve problems raised by customs officers concerned about the proposed merger with the Barbados Revenue Authority, and he says there are other issues dating back to 2013. Now, the march starts at Queen's Park on Monday at 8:30 in the morning. It will travel to St. Michael's Road, then on to Bridge Street, Wharf Road, Hink Street, along the Princess Alice Highway passing Pelican Village, moving on to Prescott Boulevard. The march will then wind its way to Tweeside Road, heading to Jubilee Gardens, and from there it will move on to Broad Street and finally end at the NUPW headquarters. Well, meantime, the largest union in Barbados has thrown its support behind the call for a national strike by the National Union of Public Workers. The Executive Council of the Barbados Workers Union is encouraging all public servants, irrespective of union affiliation, to support the planned course of action. A statement from the union says injury to one is injury to all. And the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union is also calling out its troops to join the NUPW's national protest. The BSTU President Marianne Redmond says teachers are giving the NUPW their full backing in its stand against the BIDC.
The BSTU is saying enough is enough and is informing members that they should assemble at Queen's Park at 8:30 on Monday coming to demonstrate our abhorrence of these attitudes and behaviors and of the disrespect shown by BIDC to both their members and to the trade union that represents them.
And the National Union of Public Workers is getting the thumbs up from another labor union for its stance in calling out workers for a national strike on Monday. General Secretary of the Unity Workers Union, Caswell Franklin, says the move was long in coming as the workers in Barbados were being highly disadvantaged by the actions of government and something had to give. Well, still to come, look at some of the stories making headlines across our region.
It will be beer words at the 2015 Lime Cup Overreading Sunday, July 5th at Harrison